It's a great honor to be able to be here to speak on behalf of so many people at Barker Road who aren't able to be here tonight to share just a glimpse at a lot of the work that's been going on. And Mrs. Harry Sealer is here with me this evening, and all of the work and things that I get to share with you tonight really wouldn't happen without her support, and she's always such a team player. So thank you so much for all of your work. This is really a great time to be able to speak to the board, because it's the time of year where we really start to see the fruit of all of the hard work that's been happening throughout the year. And it seems like right now we just have so many great celebrations going on that we're in the middle of. So we were just redesignated for a fourth time as a national school to watch, along with Calkins Road Middle School. So we are very excited to be able to celebrate with our kids in May when they will come from the state to be able to bring us our award. So that award is a national recognition of our ability to be able to uphold the 7 essential elements of middle level education. And so we're really proud of that. And we are in the midst of gearing up for our second annual Kicks for Campers event. So the kids are a buzz with all creating their teams and getting coaches and getting teachers to be their coaches for their teams, and they are working together to raise funds to send some of our students to Camp Corey this summer from our Urban Suburban program. So we're really excited about that. And our Best Buddies group, which is a club that makes genuine friendships between students with developmental disabilities and their general education peers, and they're really starting to take hold this year. And this is the Spread the Word to End the Word month, so we have a lot of events going on at Barker Road. And one of our big events that they helped to support that many people saw was last week at our unified basketball tournament that we kind of created at the middle level, because there isn't really an organized event at the middle level. So Calkins Road and Barker Road, our unified basketball teams got together and competed for the third time. I think Barker Road ended up with the win.
It was 100 to 100.
Everybody won. It's not about winning, and it's not really even about basketball. And I think anyone, if you haven't been able to get to a unified event at any level, elementary through high school, try to get there, because it's really not even about just the kids that are there, but it really changes you to be able to be there, and it's such an experience. And I think you leave just feeling like your face is going to split open. So we welcomed our teams back, and we had an impromptu parade at school yesterday, and Mike Wall, who runs our Morning Bark show, literally right at the end of the game came up to me and said, "We need to have a parade in the middle of the hallways tomorrow morning. Let's just do it." And I said, "Okay, let's just do it, Mike." So I promised a couple people that I would bring just some clips of what happened that morning. So we literally just got on the morning show. It's streamed live, and we just took to the hallways, and the homerooms were asked to come out and cheer on their victorious team from Unified Basketball.
Here they are, everybody, our Unified Basketball team, the champions. They are the champions.
So every single student, every homeroom came out into the hallways and just lined the halls, and I said to a couple of the kids, we should do this every Monday, because it was just the best way to be able to show how unified basketball, it's really not just about the practices or the kids who are involved in it, but it really helps bring the whole school together, and just to see the kids connecting with each other on that way, it was so special. So we're really proud of that. So the meat of the presentation tonight, we're going to just go through our 2 goal areas. One is responsive tiered instruction, or RTI, and our second area is our social emotional learning goal. And now at this point in the year, we'll be able to tell you about our goals for this year, some of the progress that we've made, and then also we're actually, believe it or not, starting to create our cap for next year, so we have a sense of kind of where our goals are heading as we head into the 18-19 school year. Our responsive tiered instruction goal has been with us for several years now. We've been working on professional learning communities, and we've really decided to work slowly through that process and really make it our own and not rush through anything. But as we've come together and created teams, so they're like grade level, like discipline teams, so all of our 7th grade English teachers or all of our health teachers, all of our technology teachers work together to be able to answer 4 questions. And those 4 questions are: what do we want students to learn? How will we know if they've learned it? And then how will we respond if they've already learned it or if they haven't learned it? And so last year we really spent the entire year just stepping back and focusing on question number 1 and giving teams the opportunity to make decisions about what are those essential understandings and learnings that we're going to promise all of our kids get when they leave us. So we still have autonomy in our classrooms, and teachers have projects or certain areas of passion that they like to focus on more than others, but let's come to agreement on some things that all students will get. And so this year we're really taking that to the next step and looking at how will we know if they've learned it, and getting into what are some common assessments that we might be able to give to students. They could be very small things like an exit ticket on the way out of class. It could be their regular unit test, but they have a couple common questions that they can come together on at the end and kind of share through that student work and make some decisions about the learning moving forward. So at the beginning of the year, on our Superintendent's Day in October, we gave teachers some time to really think about what does that mean? How can we align some of those assessments and make sure they're aligned to the essential understandings that we want to actually be assessing? And then you'll see the picture there is the teachers going back to our mission of empowering and inspiring and succeeding together. They were actually making some models together that they really had a lot of fun with. They were running to their classrooms trying to find different materials to be able to build physical models of how does the idea of having common formative assessments help us to bring forth our mission of empowering and inspiring and succeeding with our students. So this year we've given some time to teachers to be able to do this work, because that's really the hardest part, is getting time for everybody to be together for the work. And so we've devoted several faculty meetings and department meetings to be able to get people together during time that's already scheduled. And this also has allowed teachers to have some time to share strategies, both in some of our formal faculty meetings, but also in the time that they've set aside for their PLCs, to share how they might be regrouping students, how different departments are handling that given the schedule that we have currently. Next year, we'd like to take this a little bit further and look at if there are creative ways that we can use our time during the day in our regular schedule in order to provide for not only RTI time, so time for teachers to work with students to be able to either extend and enhance the curriculum, or to provide some more support to students who may need it for those essential items. And also to provide time for the teachers to continue to work together more regularly in their PLC time. So we want to play around a little bit with that and see if there are some things that we want to try out, maybe some X-block schedules or things that we could just play with once or twice during the year, and then make some recommendations moving forward from that. And there's so many other things that go on with RTI. It really is a part of kind of interwoven into everything that we do. But one of the other pieces I wanted to bring up is some of the work that our instructional support team has been doing over the past few years. And the instructional support team is where teachers go when they need extra support for students and they've run out of their own ideas and they want kind of another set of eyes on it and a different perspective. And it used to be that there was paperwork that had to be filled out, and it could be frustrating trying to get into the IST team at a certain time and to kind of wait for them to tell you what you need to do with kids. And so a few years ago, our literacy coach, Lisa Ehrlich, worked with Terry and our whole team to be able to just revamp how we look at this. And so they've been actually going into the teams when they're already meeting to bring the IST team to the academic teams. So when they're already meeting every day during the day, if they have concerns about a student, the team will come to them. And that has really worked really well over the last year or so. And then this year they're really taking an increased focus on executive functioning skills. So those are the skills that allow students to be able to prioritize what's the most important, to be able to regulate their emotions, some of the things that kids can be all over the continuum on in middle school. And so they're taking time this year in a collegial circle and through some other trainings to build their own knowledge, the team's knowledge, and then that way they can really help to bring some specified information and strategies to the teachers when they need it. And they're also playing around with a questionnaire for executive functioning that they can use with teachers and use with students to be able to make sure that we're actually targeting the right skills and strategies at the right time for kids. Our other large goal area is social emotional learning, so important in everything that we do, and probably all of the things that I listed at the beginning, all of those great feel-good things that are really involving and connecting our kids to school could be part of our social emotional learning goals, but it's also just a part of who we are. And formally what we've done this year is we looked last year at our IEE, or the Institute for Ethics and Excellence survey that was done in every school, but we did ours last year, so that was a survey that was taken by students, by parents, and by staff members, and it helped us to look at what is our culture like in our building, and how do we create a culture where students have voice and where they feel engaged and connected not only to the academics but also to the school itself. And from that, we created in our instructional leadership team 3 subgroups or sub-goals out of that SEL survey. So one of them was focused on the core principles, one was focused on mindfulness, and one was actually looking at our facilities and how we might be able to look at that differently under the realm of social emotional learning. And so those teams have actually just completed several months of working together. One of them, the core principles group, we originally looked at it and said we'd like to create a rubric for the core principles so that teachers could actually be able to use that when students are in group work, or we could actually show it to students and let them see what does it look like when we're being empathetic, what does it look like when I'm being responsible or respectful. And as we got into the learning and the work around that, we decided that might be a couple steps down the road, maybe something we get into next year, but we decided that it's probably time to reboot the core principles, not only with our students but starting with our staff, because we put so much work and energy into it, and our students, our student council created the amazing core principles posters that we have all over the school. They're embedded into our curriculum, but we may need to actually go back and spend time on some of those specific areas. So we, in our last faculty meeting, had that particular subgroup report out and get back to what's the history of the core principles, how can we be modeling those core principles in our interactions with kids and in our interactions with each other. And so we decided that we would start there, and then next year we will be bringing student council back into the mix and having them look at, are there ways that we can pick a few of the core principles that we think are the most relevant and reboot those with our students with some activities and spirit weeks, with some of the things that we do on our morning show, just to ground ourselves back in that work before we start thinking about if there's a rubric or some other level that we'd like to take it to. Another of the subgroups was on mindfulness. So a few of the things that we did, again, we had that group reporting to our faculty meeting and looking at some common language that we use and really defining what mindfulness means. It's not just meditation and taking deep breaths, but how can we really be present? And one of the ways that we looked at bringing that to our kids in a meaningful way this year is through Mindful Mondays. So every Monday I get on the announcements through our live streaming so they can see me, and we do all sorts of different things. Sometimes we do some yoga, sometimes we do some breathing, sometimes we do some imagery or imagining work. Today was Monday, and so I got on and we talked about our cell phones and how those can really pull us from being mindful and how they're actually programmed to keep us from being mindful, and they're programmed to help draw us in. And so we need to kind of check each other, adults and students, in how we just try and still connect with each other and not be in a group of people all sitting around on our devices. So all sorts of different messages we can give kids during that Mindful Monday time, but I think it's something that's been really helpful for the kids and helps all of us just with some of those little strategies and things that then teachers can incorporate throughout the day. So next year we're going to be working on visuals, some things that actually the teachers can have in their classrooms to remind us of different ways that we can be mindful, both in ways that are energizing and calming, so that they can incorporate those things within the classes more regularly. We also had Kara Juziak come in, and she did some foundational training with our staff on mindfulness. And she's been coming in and working with some smaller groups of teachers, mostly our health teachers, this spring. And then we had a facilities subgroup, and they made some recommendations about things just to make some of the areas more welcoming in the school, some things that the Community Service Club will be taking on with planters outside of the school, looking at ways to extend projects like our tile wall from last year, some of the bulletin boards that you'll see coming up later with our hashtag 17 initiative that we started just this past month. And we're looking to hopefully purchase some screen that will be out front so that students can see all of the most important announcements and things in the mornings as they come in, and also for their parents to see. Our student council picks a theme each year, and this is the first time that they have ever picked a book. I think they thought they were picking a movie, but it's a book. So Wonder is actually a book. And our student council purchased many copies this year. We encouraged the kids to read Wonder in the fall, and then we reserved an entire, well, John Sacutella in student council, I have to say, he reserved an entire theater for our kids to be able to go on a Saturday and watch Wonder. So we had 250 Barker Road students and staff members go to watch Wonder together, which was great. And leading up to that that week we had a Spirit Week where we incorporated not only the theme of wonder, but also the really important concept in the book is the idea of precepts. So the teacher in the book gives these precepts, these items for kids to really think about that made a difference in their lives. And so we had them throughout the school. And the precepts were introduced each day. There was a different precept, and there was an opportunity in homerooms and throughout the day for teachers to be able to talk with kids about the precept of the day. And then there were different things, of course, that the kids would wear that would match with the precept because it just makes it more fun. So this was a really powerful, even more than the songs that they've had in the past, it was a really powerful way to connect to such an important message of including everybody and being empathetic and putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. And a couple other social emotional items that we have coming up, the idea of ACEs, or Adverse Childhood Experiences, is something that we're going to be looking at in April in our Superintendent's Conference Day, and we will be teaming up with Calkins Road and I believe Sutherland High School, and we'll be having a training. Amy Shield-Jones is a trainer who will be coming in and talking to us about ACEs and about taking things that are ACEs or kind of traumatic experiences and turning them into assets for kids. And so it's really going to help us, I think, create just a foundation where we can start being more of a trauma-informed school, where we are able to respond to students in a way that will help them to be able to maybe leverage some of the experiences they've had to make them even stronger. So that is a training we're looking forward to in helping us understand resilience a little bit better. And then something we wouldn't have planned for early in the year, but something we're really proud of was what just happened last month with the Parkland Strong, or all of the different activities that have gone on across the nation around March 14th. And our students had some great leaders come up and say they really wanted to do something at the middle level that would be positive and that would really focus on kids feeling connected at school and safe at school. And so our students created the idea of hashtag What's Your 17 that was stolen, I think, from probably another school somewhere. And they all wrote on hearts 1 or 17 ideas of things that they could do to help connect to somebody else. And we really focused on the idea that we can do all sorts of things to keep kids safe at school, but the people who have the most power to make kids safe are the kids, and how they reach out, make sure that nobody's left out, take the time to smile at 17 people, to make a positive comment at somebody, to stand up even when it's hard to do that. And so we created, there's 3 huge bulletin boards right in front of our auditorium, so you could always exit that way tonight if you wanted to see them. And it was really strong showing of the kids and their ability and just their thoughtfulness around how they could connect to something that was a tragedy and really make it something positive for us and for our school. So we were very proud of that. And our social emotional learning next year, we hope to take all of these pieces to the next level and continue not only some of the subgroups and some of the focuses that they had, but also thinking of how can we now capitalize on some of the ideas that our students have and continue that momentum moving forward. So our student council has some great ideas, and I think they'll be helping us craft some of our social emotional learning goals as we move into this spring. And this is our bulletin board, or our banner that our best buddies made, that our students all signed during the Spread the Word to End the Word official week here at school a couple weeks ago. And that's all that I have. Any questions?
Shana, that was a great presentation. Does anyone have any specific questions? First of all, I just can't say enough about watching the basketball game, because it was just amazing. And for anyone who was there, the energy in that arena was amazing. So thank you for that. And we all enjoyed it. We were in the stands. I think Pete was shouting louder than anyone else.
Just representing Barker Road.
We heard you.
And according to the news, it was 100 to 100. So everybody was tied.
That's
So-
right.
I think Josh
That's
was-
right. That's right. Yes.
So thank you so much. Your
Yes.
presentation was awesome.
Thank you.
Shane, I just want to compliment you on how you handled, and Barker Road actually handled the walkout situation. And when I forget why, but I had to walk down your neck of the woods for something. And I passed the bulletin boards, and I stopped and took a couple pictures of them. That night I had an inclusivity presentation, so I actually took a picture and brought it that evening. But talking to the kids and watching what they were doing and thinking about making a lasting impact and you pulling this, and your staff pulling this all together in real short order in a time where there really aren't any guidelines on how you should be working through that situation, I thought it was remarkable. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Shane.
Thanks, Shana.